Hey, Dr. Mason here, and wanted to touch base. We get ready for our first historical thinking assignment in History 201. As you kind of take a look at this assignment, the big thing to keep in mind is work through it this first time. This should get you familiar with what you're going to do 9 more times throughout the course. Do your best. I'll get you that feedback and grading, and we'll just keep going from there. Know that this first time, the big thing is to just give it a shot. And so first, you get 2 questions to choose from, and you want to choose one question to use for the entire assignment. So you can either take a look at how did indigenous culture change with the arrival of Europeans, and how did it demonstrate continuity? So you're looking at native peoples. One of the things you might want to do is narrow down that scope a little bit. If you're talking about native peoples, maybe you want to look at a specific native people in whatever part of the country you're from. That's one of the things I find very interesting. I work a lot with the Dakota people who lived here in Iowa, but that's a little bit up to you. Your big thing is to take the cultures of these peoples and think about how they stayed the same, how they were different after the arrival of Europeans. So you could do that question. Your other option is to take a look at what political, economic, and or social cultural factors motivated Europeans in their exploration and colonization of what they were calling the New World. So this would be taking a look at the different factors. Maybe you want to take a look at how religion played a role in motivating Europeans to come to the Americas. Maybe you want to take a look at economic factors like the pursuit of gold. Maybe you want to take a look at other things related to political power. That's kind of up to you. You could use all 3. You could just look at one. But make sure, again, you're thinking about pairing the content with our skill from the course. That's the big thing to do. So once you have your question decided, the thing to do is to hop on over to Blackboard and go find our class, History 201. You're going to open it up. You're going to go under Assignments. And then you're going to scroll down past the Great Assignment. You're going to find Historical Thinking Assignment number 1. And that's where you're going to turn it in. But the thing I want you to do is to click on where it says the document to download and have it just open up for you. Once you open that up, you'll see those questions again at the top, and then you'll see what you actually need to do on the assignment. So the big thing here, again, is to just work through it. So the first thing you got to do is take your question and find a tertiary source. And what I mean by that is something written for general public. This could be virtually anything. It could be a YouTube video, it could be a Wikipedia article. This is where if you are a big Khan Academy person, go ahead and hit that up. Encyclopedia Britannica. The general idea is that tertiary sources are for a general audience, written for non-experts, and it should get us familiar with the topic a little bit. So you just got to write 50 words about it. So if you're doing the second question, you were going to look at what motivated Columbus to come to the New World, maybe you're going to watch John Green Crash Course History video on YouTube, and then you're going to write 50 words about it. If you're doing the first question, you've chosen to do a specific native people, you're going to go in and take a look at a video, or maybe you're going to look up an article on the Dakota Sioux people, or the Ojibwe Anishinaabe, or whatever people you choose, and then you're going to write your 50 words. This is just to get an initial familiarity. The next thing you got to do is head on over to the textbook. So you can see there's the link there in the document. You'll open it up and it'll take you to the American Yap chapter on Indigenous America. So when you go down, I think the most important thing you can do is take a look at sections 1 and 5, which are the introduction and the conclusion. You can read the whole textbook, but I think you should take a look at 1 and 5 and then think about your question and maybe read the other sections that are pertinent to that. So if you're looking at the question on Indigenous peoples, section 2 on the first Americans would be important to you. If you are looking at the second question, sections 3 and 4, European expansion, Spanish exploration and conquest, those would be maybe the ones that you're going to take a look at. I want you to go through, I want you to read the pertinent information, and then I want you to create 100 words of analysis. And a way to think about doing this is to think about how the American Yap would answer the question that you have in front of you. So once you got that done with the American Yap, you'll see on the assignment, your next section is about a primary source. Now you could go into the Blackboard shell, you could go under where it says resources, you could open that up and you could see that there are a bunch of different primary source collections. You go to the National Archives, you go to the Library of Congress. That's not what I would do if I were you. What I would do is go back to the American Yop, look for section 6, which is primary sources, and then head down there. So if you focused your assignment on Indigenous America, maybe source number 1, you're going to open up about Native American creation stories and talk about how they show cultural continuity across expansion, and take a look at that. Maybe you're going to go and you've been talking about Christopher Columbus, so you figure the Journal of Christopher Columbus makes sense. You're going to click on that, open it up, you're going to read it, pull out and see what you can learn about your question there, then write about it a little bit, just another 100 words under source to primary source. So now we're back and we're taking a look at your assignment. We're having a go with taking a look at, you've got your text source, you've got your primary source, you've done your tertiary source. Now you're looking for a scholarly secondary source. This is again where under resources on Blackboard, there's a lot of good stuff. You go to the Waldorf online library. You could use that to take a look at some of the different resource collections there, whether it's like electronic journals, and you're going to look for your question, or back if we were talking about the Dakota Sioux people, maybe you're going to go in, you're going to search, and you're going to read this article by Luther Standing Bear called My People the Sioux, or you're going to look at the Canadian Sioux 2nd edition. I don't care what source you use. I care about what kind of quality it brings to the table. So you want to be thinking about who wrote it, what their expertise is, and how that can build your own credibility in the assignment. So this, I do want to be a high quality, peer-reviewed source, different from your tertiary source, that's going to come from an academic kind of research perspective, hopefully that's been peer-reviewed. You could also use Google Scholar. You could use a variety of other things for this. So once you get that done, all of a sudden you've gotten your tertiary source, we've done your American Yop text review, you've done the primary source, you've done your scholarly secondary source, and now you get to the final part where you actually get to answer the question. So in this section, I want you to relate back to the historical thinking skills, answer the question, and the big thing I want you to do in 150 words is relate your topic to today. If you're talking about Indigenous peoples, our Indigenous communities are still alive and persistent today throughout the United States. They're not some mythical part of the past. They are a real, vibrant part of the America we all find ourselves in. If you're talking about what motivated European exploration and colonization, you might talk about how countries today still exploit each other for economic, political, social, cultural gain, or maybe some of those types of things. But that's up to you, and this is a little bit on our first assignment, and I just want you to give it a shot. That's the biggest thing here, is if you go through and you take a look at your assignment for Monday, just get it done. Go through, do your best, pick a question, work through the different sources, write your stuff out, turn it in, and we'll talk about it on Monday. If you do have other questions in the meantime, feel free to shoot me an email, kevin.mason@waldorf.edu. But until then, just do your best, and let's get through this first one successfully. Have a great weekend.